Here it is, Friday, Punks and Demons, The Great Satan. Where was this guy during the Satanic Panic in the 80s? I mean, this guy would be in prison tomorrow. So Rob Zombie has announced his upcoming record coming out February 27th of next year, titled The Great Satan. And man, I love that name. I've always liked Rob Zombie's brand of, provocative nonsense, I guess you could call it. I like it. I've always enjoyed it. I love the artwork and the imagery and everything that goes into it. I love that the guy's very apolitical, right? That's one of my favorite things about him, actually. I think he's kind of a necessary artist in today's world that we live in. Yeah, the Great Satan. He announced it on Instagram on Wednesday, I think it was, that he was just going to be dropping a song on Friday. That was really all the announcement said. Then Thursday came around, and anybody who runs around in the Rob Zombie subreddit saw that in some other countries on their Apple Music and Spotify, a new Rob Zombie album popped up called The Great Satan. And, the news kind of got leaked that way, at least leaked to us Americans. So we all saw this coming since Thursday. The last time Rob Zombie really talked about this new album or new music at all was on the Howie Mandel podcast, which was a couple years ago. And that was back when John Five was still in the band. And ever since John Five left and Rob Zombie got Riggs and Blasco back, the big curiosity has been, is the new album going to sound like old school Rob Zombie, like the first two albums? And based on the single, yeah, I think it could. Well, based on the single sounds kind of different than I think really anything. I saw somebody say that it kind of gives them La Sexorcisto vibes. And yeah, I could kind of see that. It does seem almost like a White Zombie-ish song. I would even argue it sounds a little John Tepesta-ish when it comes to the drums. That drum beat I think is very John Tepesta. So a little bit of Astra creep in there. It's kind of like a thrashy, heavy song. Usually when you think of Rob Zombie heavy stuff, you think of Lords of Salem, you think of Mars Needs Women. This is heavy in a completely different way than those songs. It seems like a track that you would release when you're saying, "Hey, we don't want to put out the best song just yet, but we want to give you an idea of what's to come." Maybe Rob Zombie was sitting around thinking, "We got to put out a song, but we don't want to put out the best song." Right? You don't want to release the Dragula of the album because then you've already, you've unleashed the beast essentially. So you got to put something out that says, "Hey, here's a track, here's a good sign of what's to come, but there's still better stuff to come." To me, this seems like that was the goal with that song. And I think they accomplished it pretty well. Like I said, it's pretty kick ass. It's a pretty kick ass track. I would recommend you go check it out. It's a very quick listen. It's a banger, right? The old school term banger. When I was a kid, a banger meant a song that is on 10 all the way through. It meant a short and quick and to the point song. And that's exactly what it is. Let's get this pulled up over on Blabbermouth. Yeah, Rob Zombie announces new album, The Great Satan, releases video for Punks and Demons. It says the word Satan like 400 times. This is a very Satan heavy album, if you can't already tell. We have the track list, right? The Great Satan track listing. We got FTW 84, Tarantula, I'm a Rock and Roller, Heathen Days, Who Am I? Black Rat Coffin, Sir Lord Acid Wolfman. I guarantee you everyone is most excited for this bad boy. Sir Lord Acid Wolfman, Punks and Demons, The Devil Man, Out of Sight, Revolution Motherfuckers, Welcome to the Electric Age, The Black Scorpion, Unclean Animals, and Grave Discontent. 15 tracks. I gotta say, I wonder if it was intentional to kind of scale back on all these titles, right? This is the shortest album title we've gotten from Rob Zombie in many years. These are the shortest track names we've gotten from Rob Zombie in many years. I mean, Who Am I? Just might be the most basic, simple, generic Rob Zombie song title we've ever gotten. I almost wonder, like I said, if it was intentional because this next album is going to sound so different compared to everything we've gotten in recent years. Here we have the album cover, and along with the simplicity of the title and the track listing, even the album artwork is, I would say, kind of simple for a Rob Zombie album cover. There's a lot going on, but it's black and white. It's pretty simple black and white. The Great Satan looks like it was handwritten. You've got some designs, you've got some pictures around the sides, and other than that, it's just Rob front and center. I do love that Rob Zombie is one of the few guys left doing proper album releases when it comes to the physical album itself, right? You know you're gonna get a booklet full of artwork from this guy whenever you buy a CD or whenever you buy a record. You know you're gonna get a proper album experience. And so I would imagine the booklet with all the artwork is gonna be black and white. That's probably gonna be the artistic theme of the album. Yeah, overall super interesting. It seems like they scaled it back a little bit. They're keeping things simple this time around. Personally, I think it's badass. Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I mean, when you go listen to Punks and Demons, when you go listen to the new track, it does not sound like he's 60 years old. I will say that. And I know it's recorded. People are going to talk about his live vocals compared to recorded vocals. I don't care. I'm just talking about on the album. I'm talking about on the tracks. Dude does not sound 60 years old. And I thought that, back when he put out the Lunar Injection album. You listen to Crow Killer Blues, and I thought, wow, these vocals are incredible for a guy in his late 50s. Say what you want about how he sounded when you saw him that one time in Nebraska or whatever, but on the album, the guy I think still sounds killer. Overall, I would say a good day for the zombie fans. Good day for the zombie fans indeed. And because it's Rob Zombie, now we wait for the album, and then as soon as that comes out, we wait for news on the next movie. We see if we're getting another movie. There's always something coming with this guy. So yeah, I would highly recommend if you're a fan, obviously, go listen to the new track and listen to it a couple times. I will say it took me a couple times to really start getting into it. I had to get the earbuds in. Once you get the earbuds in, you get the bass going properly, the kick drum going properly in your ears. Then you start really, "Oh, okay, I see what's going on here." So, like I said, very thrash heavy, you know, different. It's like nothing I've heard from Rob Zombie before, to be honest. And I'm not just saying that. I'm usually the cynical fan of things. If I thought it was terrible, I'd get on here and I would tell you it's terrible. If I thought the new album was going to be trash, I'd get on here and tell you the new album is going to be trash. After just this one track, I think we could be in store for something pretty cool. So, good day. Good day for sure.
And we're all here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I